Sometimes you got to trust the machines, strange as it may be. I learned that when I was 14 years old. Well, you learn that kind of thing in phases, so whatever. In Ontario, Canada, in a weird Christian survival camp brainwashing thing. Uh, and I was in an orienteering competition, which was one of the funner parts. It wasn't all fun, but it was real intense. That's for damn sure. Uh, and there was an orienteering contest, and there was about, I don't know, I don't know how many students there were there. They were all people that got there set mostly by the court system. I was there voluntarily, which was not what I was expecting. But, the brochure lied. And it's okay. I still had a survival experience, mentally and physically. So here I am, looking at this small valley. Okay? Let's call it a tiny valley. Sometimes I call them gullies. Valley sounds cooler, doesn't it? And I just walked around a lot on some trails that are just getting re-cleared. There used to be more trails around here. And I GPSed, marking a point as I walked along the trails up and down along this inclined valley. And what I did is I put that data in my computer in the GPS track maker, and I started renaming the points as the elevation they were at, and starting to figure out, okay, well, if I was going to put in terraces across this valley, pretty big ones, where would I put them? There is a temptation to just go in there with shovels and make little spots connected by trails and things, and there'll still be plenty of that. That's going to be everywhere. It's going to be acres and acres and acres and acres of that. But in this case, I'm thinking, why don't I just go ahead and go with what the land says to do? And I have mostly tried to do that. But using my GPS, I walked around and got these points that then I can connect up. And I can say, oh, well, this is a level that I would want for this. And this level connects a place to another place. And this level fills in a place that needlessly goes down for a road that shouldn't. And maybe I want to actually move the road over and or have two one-way roads, which is always a real good idea. Two-way roads take up a lot of space, and I might still put one somewhere, but there's places where the road needs to be two-way. And that particular road down at the bottom of Alicante, below what I usually call Alicante, uh, one of them goes off to a whole different space, and it actually connects to a whole bunch of really important spaces. And so we have to think about, and this is so bizarre. I mean, nobody thinks like this. I don't think somebody does. I hope. Uh, Rather than just overlay our city design onto the landscape that exists, look at really the smallest details of how we can sculpt around important places, how we can not bother them. And in this case, I mean, there's all sorts of issues with how much land to use. I got pretty confused because there's two main sources of data points here, right? And that is the data point of what my walking around, seeing things and how it feels. Actually, let's go with three. We might get it to 10. I don't know. I'm just making shit up, but I'm doing it well. That's the important thing. So walking around and just feeling it, feeling spaces, and then realizing that some spaces just have magical attributes. I mean, you could do that as a botanist. On the other side of that ridge over there, there's a whole bunch of north-facing slope, and in this case, probably one of the most valuable things I have in the entire property as a microclimate is surprisingly north-facing slope. Because almost always where I come from, up at latitude 47 or so, now I'm at latitude 19, up there, uh, you almost always want southern facing slope, right? You want that place to warm up and stay warm as long as, much of the year as you can. Well, surprisingly, and I'm still confused about this, I need to have people to think like I do to talk to. Uh, but in a place where the sun is so strong and you have so many places to harvest the sun, Shouldn't we as people dig in and make our houses on the north facing slopes? Because we can still do some things. And I know I have all these ideas that use east facing slopes. It's all, uh, I just, I've made lists. I need to make better lists like spreadsheets and score different attributes of a particular direction that things could face for a garden, for a house, for a larger building, for a tiny hut, for whatever. I mean, what's my least valuable facing space? I don't know. I think it's just a mix of different values. Anyway, in this case, all we're doing is this process that I would like to get really good at, right? And that is using GPS information, topographical maps, but in this case, the topographical maps I have access to don't have enough detail. Like this area I'm talking about is probably, I don't know, 5 acres, 7 acres. I don't know. I'd have to measure that, and I don't care. But what I'm doing is making sure this really important place, it's going to be developed as a park that is for people use and a lot of human food production. It's my most exciting park, I would say. Even though I really like the view one, it has a different vision, and this one includes food, and of course, people like food. They like the idea of producing their own food in better ways. So I'm all into it. So what I did was we restored the inner trail. We already have a shitty road on the other side that's mid slope. It's in the right spot. It's fine. Uh, so we are recutting those trails, and what I was able to do with the GPS data is look at the different sides and then mark those points with the elevation, and so I could start to draw lines between them and start to see, oh, if I was going to make a huge flat spot between two flat spots, and dig down on the upper side and fill in on the lower one, and have one that fit in with the needs for transport or centrality or whatever. And I had some kind of simplistic notions after walking around just seeing it, because it just it's very frustrating. I mean, I'm a pretty smart guy, and I trust the GPS more than me in some ways. Like when I go on the GPS, it's not what I see in my mind. When I look at on my computer screen, just a bunch of dots with numbers, I can actually see that what I was thinking was too simplistic and it was wrong. The places, this side's higher, for example. Is it? Is it? Yeah, it is. In part. It depends. It depends. And so it changed my whole view of where I would want trails figured out. Because I got a guy out there right now. He's macheting, and he's going to start up a noisy machine pretty soon to clear trails. And right now, I'm having him clear two trails today that were already existing. And so the thing is, if I don't like where that trail is, I can just let it grow over, no problem. Or it could get dug down in different ways and in different forms. But at some point, I thought that was a good trail to have. I actually have a different trail now. I'm more interested in probably having after looking at the GPS on my computer. And the bigger decision is how do you terrace land? And can you mix into that land? And this would be it's really hard decision to make. On the upper part, I'm pretty damn sure I'm going to create a building. Okay, it's going to be a pretty big one, and it's going to increase access from the mesa on slope to a whole bunch of other spaces. And I don't know if a car will be able to go across that. I don't know if I'm going to bulldoze in enough dirt to make it that strong. It would be handy. I got transport issues with these gullies and stuff, but actually, I could be all right. And then any building I want to build would be upslope from that between the nook of another road. And then that's a super accessible building, right? It doesn't have view, never will. It's just not going to happen. But it's dug in and it has all this really beautiful park space all around it. Now, all below that, all the rest of Alicante can all be park. Um, I do have a thought of moving a road from where it is to up further, but really moving roads doesn't even make total sense. I mean, a bunch of dirt roads doesn't hurt a lot. they grow into trails. And I don't care if we put one in the wrong place, which I'm trying not to do. I mean, I'm doing everything I can with this strange process. And I need to write up this process of like, okay, let's say you arrived at a piece of land. And I've already talked about the initial practice of that. But let's say you had a special spot like this. Well, the same rule applies as before. Permaculture principle zero: do nothing. Hippocratic oath: do no harm. Wicca, uh, I forgot. And some of them did too. Not all your cute Wiccan witches are necessarily good people. Although, of course, I'm in favor of cultural exploration and development of all kinds. What I did learn was that the spot I'm at right now, it's called the Black Deck. Uh, it's kind of weird, actually, where it connects up to on the same elevation. And I'm getting picky on elevation. I'm within a meter, you know. Like up there goes up. Here, going to the view, I'm willing to fill this in. And this is one of the spaces that I would want to turn into plaza. Now, I've already got a line of pines here, and I really kind of like them. And so I'm tempted to plaza above it and below it. And I don't even care if there's an area in between that's indentated and below. Although the pine trees might not like the water flow on that, but pine trees are so tough. They won't die of that. They die of lightning and wind. That's why pine trees die. So below the pine trees, and partly with connection points through from the upper area, uh, that probably descend down into the other area, and that's all down below, like the area below where the lodge road, the road that gets to the lodge, that could go to the dimple, and the area on this side of Rocky Ridge could actually largely get bulldozed down. There's a road that can go there that we could. There's road issues, but we could put a whole building in there, I think, and we could even have, since it's the same level as here, we could even have a covered and dug in walkway that walks all the way over to, a set of buildings like there and Solsticio. And so I'm trying to keep buildings away from each other because I have, big privacy issues and there's security issues, of course. And I believe that densifying people is great, but we can avoid all the problems that cities have. Because I want to live in the city, but then when I think about living in the city, I don't want to. And that means I need to make a list, like of the things I like about living in the city, like the massive economic opportunities, the diversity for consumption, the many cool people there, some of them, cute, uh, or occasionally beautiful, which I put in the same category. I know other people like to be picky fucks about words, but nah, I'm not. Not in that case. Beautiful and cute go together in my book. God damn, that's a big area. It's a pleasure to be working on it. It's um it's a new phase today. It's probably December 7th. Sounds good? Might be true. It's 2021 and it's a Monday. So you can, tell me what a dumbass I am for not knowing what day it is, but the cool thing is all of Alicante, all of this area out here, okay, is filled with far more exotic trees than it had before. And I mean local exotics. We got rid of the pines a long time ago, and this area has recovered very, very well. It's filled with madrones, which is very exciting since we're about to collect the seeds on those. And it's a magic tree. That's the scientific name. Arbutus is the family name. And then I have a bunch of subspecies here. I don't know what they all are. I don't have to know. I'll just collect seeds and spew the seeds out into the world. The cool thing is, we've already got a little dance floor in there. We've recovered a trail today already across the Barranca, which was a violation of the normal rules. It was straight across. It wasn't on contour. And that's because I know that my plan is to terrace this place. Now, the other thing I can do, and this is useful to you if you're going to be designing land this way, is to start to make a really localized topographical map, the best you can do. Now, I hope that drones are going to do this for you. Maybe they already do, but I don't got a drone. But if you had a drone that could make a topographical map automatically of your land, oh, and I would love to have somebody here who can do that. And I've been told over and over, you can't do it. There's too many trees. Well, then fucking design drones that have really good, like really superior uh, ability to sense where there's obstacles up in the air because they're up in the air. And so what I wanted to do is be able to tell a drone, okay, do a zigzag pattern across this amount of property in the range that you have enough battery, and then come the fuck back. That makes sense to me. Huge amount. And if you find any obstacles, well, you can either spend extra time on them or you can just avoid them. That's fine. We could even run a first pass, and then the program itself that analyzes the data can say, well, here's where we're weak. Now, if this drone had LIDAR, so it could see under the ground too, that'd be even better because that's a whole nother world that we don't think about. Now, there's the world of mycelia, which I already think about, and the kind of people I know do think about usually. But the fantastic world of fungi, and that's all in soil level though. And what I'm really interested in is the rock layer. I want to know how down far the rocks are, and even if LIDAR can't penetrate that well from a drone, because I'm not going to hire some fancy ass plane to do a deeper thing. But even archaeologists, they don't seem to be getting that deep with it. I mean, I read one article where they were like, a meter down or so, and that's not very far if we're looking for missing shit, because they're finding all these missing cities now. It's so fun. I mean, archaeology must be a great, great industry right now, or no, industry. That's the right word, but interest in science. Um, because all these places are getting found. If down in the Yucatan and stuff with the Mayas, there's a lot of stuff we didn't know about. Well, it's going to change our view of history, and our view of history was wrong anyway, probably. Anyway, so back to land design in this area. Uh, I would be willing to use a bulldozer on the lower part, probably. I am not willing to up there. It's just too sensitive. Mm. If I do build a building up there, I'd be willing to do it. Uh, it's possible that all these plans are just made up right now. I'm just um, trying to envision what doesn't exist and what could exist with higher biodiversity. Um, in this case, oddly enough, not as much biomass. I have biomass elsewhere. I have big trees. I'm trying to encourage all over the place. I don't need to do anything. They do all the work. But in here, I want probably shorter trees, a lot more fruit trees. I want olives. I want figs. This is a naturally designed microclimate that with any work at all, any effort, I can make be the most agriculturally productive and enjoyable park in all of the county, the municipio. Now, that's not saying much since, you know, other than the plaza, is there really anywhere that designed? I mean, I don't know of any. Maybe I need to look up park design. Although, I know if I look it up, I'm going to see things that are very different than what I want to create. Um, it's an enormous space. And if I was to include down there, if I was going to include all the way down to the property line as this whole gully going all the way up there, Uh, it's an amazing spot. In fact, it's the biggest gully that isn't the big ravine over there. There's a big ravine over there. And so the way that I interact with this, and it's much more convenient, the ravine over there is like steep slopes, and I'm going to be planting hedgerows to keep people from walking up to it and falling into it and getting hurt, you know? Here, it's almost all super comfortable slope, not without a trail. But that's why I'm so excited. You know, it's between my two most important buildings. And I want more trails on slope, and that's probably the hardest thing to do. Today we put, or in the past week, we've restored a trail that does go up slope, and you have to have trails that go up slope. You don't have a choice. But those trails can make sure that water doesn't run down them, and they run into really cool spots. And between those two trails, in the case of this valley, I can be channeling all the water. You know, like I used to worry about water coming off the mesa up there, and then ripping out this road. I'm not worried about that anymore. I want that water. I want it to not go down the road where it was going, and I have done a little bit of attempts at fixing it. But one, it'd be several $1,000s at least. Uh, but I could. I mean, I'm not going to do it because I have other changes in the area I want to make, and it's really stupid to invest in a thing that then becomes replaced by something else. Like once I worked on a software project, I got hired for it as a contract job, and I need the money, you know. It's fine. Um, but actually, the experience was really great. I learned a lot. But the actual project was working on software that was already outmoded and was being replaced by a different piece of software. So my motivation was pretty low. I understand I'm supposed to work for pay, but I don't. I work for love. I work for passion. And obviously, pay doesn't mean shit to me since I've been working on something for since 2004, and all I've done is lose money the whole time. Never made a fucking dime off this place, and a lot of natural resources from here have gone to nearby families, and a lot of people have had really fun experiences here that they couldn't have had at that cost elsewhere. It's interesting. I just saw a lady's post on Facebook. She's real cute. And she says lots of happy words, you know, happy sort of spiritual words. And she was floating to her audience of friends, which apparently I'm her friend on Facebook. Not for long, probably, because what I said wasn't the nicest. But she said, like, she was looking for, okay, so who would be willing to pay, I think was it 2,200 pounds around there? Pounds, that's English pounds, that's money. It's not euros, not dollars, it's pounds. And it's not how much you weigh. Uh, and that translates, I believe, currently with the exchange rate into $27,000. She was interested in people would pay that for 1 day with her. And here I am giving away all the information I can for free. And I've hosted people for free. Well, that's not true. It cost me a lot to host them. It cost all my time. It cost my building of infrastructure. It cost me maintaining infrastructure. It cost me maintaining people to be teachers for them. It wasn't free at all. It was free for them. And so when they say there's no such thing as a free lunch, like I think Heinlein said that, that's not true. There are rare cases where you can get a free lunch off a dumbass sucker. I don't regret it. Oh, I need the GPS over there too. The cool thing about the GPS is I can connect up these spaces, and the idea is to do it mainly on contour when you can. And right now I'm trying to identify some spaces in a really valuable space where I will dig uphill and I will dump the softer dirt downhill. I will plant the downhill side. I will restore the dirt on the uphill side and figure out where, if anywhere, people can figure into that. And I'm really imagining a very quiet park. I think that's really important. Uh, The land has edges. There's faraway places that there could be, acoustic music playing on a stage or something and all that. But I'm really imagining that from the lodge to ecstasis to the view, that it's all just this really quiet place and all the way down to the property line. And if there was music playing somewhere far away and it wasn't amplified, I don't think that's a problem. In fact, I like it. I'm not saying it's not allowed in here, but it would be pretty damn nice to have a space so central. And the problem is we can't plant it yet. And this is a really hard thing because I have plants. And this next year, I got plants in the ground that need to be divided, and I've got cuttings I can make. There's all these opportunities. Well, there's a couple reasons why this particular Alicante project is going to take a very long time. And let's make a timeline for it, shall we? And maybe this is useful for people who have land and want to make timelines for taking a big space like this. Now, if you could use bulldozers, that'd be fine. Uh, and I still could, and I'm not ruling it out. Uh, I have to clean it up first and cut out the plants I don't want, decide which ones I do. But if I'm going to do this massive, terracing project that has fairly wide terraces, and I do imagine that a terrace, right? Ideally, goddamn fucker, bee. Okay, don't sting me. I'm not in the mood. Not in the mood. Not in the mood. Fuck off. Get the fuck away from me. Problem is, I'm hanging out in your fucking bee's nest. Not kill this bee. Of course, I'll probably kill it by getting stung, which is not the ideal method, I don't think. Fucking Jesus. All right, we covered one of the points I wanted to cover, which was GPS versus eyeing it. What was I on? The bee went away. Well, I often talk about mixing of people and spaces. And the real goal is to have this be an amazing food forest, but also a people forest. And I like the idea a lot because the way that agriculture has been for quite some time now involves large scale destruction of land. And we're going to die as a result. And you can fill in 3 hours of doom and gloom here, but whatever. It's likely, but there may be a way we can pull out of where we're at. This kind of project right here, this tiny experiment, unfunded. I mean, I could say it's underfunded. It's not fucking funded. I'm funding it with money I don't have, and I'm still going into debt. And, there's all these ecological projects in the world, but I think most of them are just created to profit somebody. I've had people come here. A few of them have been quite aggressive in telling me, okay, well, you do this and you do that, and we pay you this and this happens. And you know what? I don't trust those fuckers. And you know what? They don't have a good track record of past projects that they've done. They're charlatans. They're shysters. And apparently that has something to do with being Jewish, but fuck off with your problem. I didn't know that. I heard it. I'm talking about people who are trying to trick you, And I don't know any Jews ever tried to trick me, so that's bullshit. Once these trails did exist, once they do exist again, I need to make classifications of trails. Some of them will be travelable by a electric ATV, and that would be really great for maintenance, because the maintenance issue here is becoming like, well, in this case, it's restoration. I'm restoring trails, but two, and I say two ATVs because it's more fun to drive around an ATV with someone else probably. A quadromoto, I think they call them. And I like electric because they're quiet. Two-person ones would be better. Yeah, I don't know about COVID issues still, and that's working out over time, but it'd be really cool to have actually. I mean, I don't know. I think so far future it's ridiculous, but it would be actually cool to have a transport that was well lit, that was electric, that went in a circle in the most common places up here, and I could actually host more people. Now, I guess for now that's ridiculous, but in the future, that's kind of like art cars at Burning Man. I had one year, and there's a billion other ones. Not a billion, but you got to do brain math. It's very important you understand the level of exaggeration and hyperbole that I operate in. Oh, cutums. I think she's fighting with a pine branch or playing with it. I don't know the difference. She's such a cute. So we're back to Alicante. Apparently, this whole video is about Alicante. It connects up with a failed building called Beltane that a piece fell off. The roof's bad. And so, really, what should happen is the roof should be ripped off. We should dig back into the slope and then decide if it's restorable or not. And I don't know that, but it can be done. Don't give up. I can terrace all ridges, meaning dig out flat spots where people could sit, and I could have trails. God damn it! Just bit me. God, fucker. This is probably not the best place to sit. I'm going to move. I was out here to look at the fucking Alicante Valley there. But maybe that's me being done with this discussion because these bees get pissed off as the day gets hotter, and it's very annoying. Maybe I'll walk up there, check that place out. I got one cool thing about getting more strong again and being able to walk around is I can actually do my job as a manager again. And I have been most of my life a manager. Once I got to high school, my second year in high school, I think I was a sophomore. I got involved with the student newspaper, or maybe I did my first year, I don't know. But very early on, I became the editor, and I was a major contributor and photographer. It was super great. It was it was the most useful part of high school for me. You're supposed to be scared of bees, right? But luckily, I'm not allergic, so it's not going to be like it's going to, actually hurt me. It's just like a bee should ask me before it stings me. It should say, "Hey, do I need to sting you for any reason?" And I would say, "No, dude, you do not need to sting me for any reason." And then the bee would say, "Oh, okay, cool. That's great. Awesome, dude." Yeah, that would be my preferred relationship. All right, I'm going to go over to another spot where it's safer. You fucker bees. They're not going to be living here much longer, I tell you that. Because somebody might be allergic and they will die. And that is very bad luck for me. And also, probably not what was in their plan. Oh, fuck. Oh. All right. What is going on in here? Did I make coffee? No. Nobody made coffee. God damn it. What the fuck kind of place is this bullshit? Oh. Okay, the puppy has food. I made a mistake. Every decision that is made, no matter how small, is a potential mistake. All I did was move the the dog food system uh, to be out of an open bag into a box. And it turns out I forgot that the puppy's too small to get in the box. And so she might have spent like, well, I mean, I'm always feeding her little bits of crap because anything I eat, she gets leftovers of. So it's fine. So it's not like she died. But uh, damn it, where's the fucking pens at? I want 1,000 pens right now. What the fuck? How is it possible that I live without a pen? I have pens, but they're not where I want them to be. And the problem is my life is too big. You know, I would love not a studio apartment, but like I see in the movies and stuff, like people own warehouses or lofts. And actually, I visited a friend of, well, an acquaintance of mine. I hope they're friendly. Uh, and God damn, hey, let's switch hats, shall we? See, small hat for adventuring, or regular hat, really. It's not a small hat. Small hat is yarmulke. I got one of those too, because I'm a little bit Jewish, sort of. Never know. Well, and being Christian, of course, you're also Jewish. You believe in the Pentateuch, right? That's the Old Testament, same thing. But Judaism is without the Jesus part, because the current Jews do not think that guy was the Messiah. I'm not even sure that guy existed. And I probably wouldn't be that big a fan of actual Judaism anyway, because actual Judaism, if you read the Old Testament, the Pentateuch, uh, it's pretty goddamn violent. Oh my God. I don't think those are values I want to live by. That's kind of the opposite of what I want to live by. Get! I'm teaching a dog how to not be under my feet. She's doing really great. I almost stepped on her foot once, I think a little bit. I was wearing soft shoes like slippers, and I think I squished her toenail. And I think I heard a little squeak. The only other time I've heard her squeak was on the last shot I gave her after her sterilization. And she made a very distinctive squeak, and it's too bad it wasn't recorded. But, you know, that's not the kind of thing I really like recording anyway. I mean, she's such a little girl, and I was alone, so I couldn't do a good job, and, you know, I did a fine job. Of all the things I did, I'd do that. I shot her well. I got her fucking stitches out, which was a little bit harder than I thought. You know, I'm a confident guy in many ways, and so I assumed things will go well. But luckily, I'm not a dumbass. So I also assume they'll go terribly, which, by the way, is a really good way to think of in the software development industry, because things do go badly and well. That's how shit works. Oh, yeah. This is nice out here. So this big hat, I know it looks ridiculous, but it's actually a great idea because then my body can be in the sun and I can feel warm, but I don't have glaring fucking light all over my body. Also, if I'm using a cell phone and want to use it, I have shade built in. So, although I've thought about architecture and providing people with like these mixed shade shelter places, the cheapest, easiest way to start with that is people going to the island over there and buying hats. They're made right over there. They're great hats. All right. Do we have anything else on this? No. I guess the things I would point out with this park design idea is that I do not know how to come into a place currently and make an overall magic plan for developing a park. And if I was trying to sell services or trying to trick people or, you know, seem like better than I was, I would say, oh, yeah, I know everything. I know a bunch of stuff. Well, I do know a bunch of stuff. I'm willing to say that. But I don't think like I could offer my commercial services to a place, maybe. And I said this a few years ago, actually, before the accident, um, that I think what I should do is do more. Well, now that my legs work again, sort of, and if I can also have some assistance, it's really hard to be a one man show, although it's very admirable, or a one woman show, very admirable. But very transgender show. If you're not an asshole and all wrapped up in your transgenderness, just be whatever you want to be. You know, I most people don't give a shit, and that's a huge compliment. You know, it's the best way things could be is that people just don't care about it. And if your big issue is your identity and you're going to being that thing, but by demanding I change my life to focus around you like I'm your fucking slave, nah, being transgender is not the problem. Being an asshole is the problem. Lots of transgender people are perfectly nice people. Fuck. Anyway, back to land design. I skipped a lot of it, and I guess I need to go and GPS it more, maybe today, because I'm kind of on a idea that I got to walk around, and it's such a unique location. The very lower part of it is actually super interesting, and I've left that completely as pine. It's tempting not to do that because it does block view. I could get more view if I cut down all those pines. On the other hand, I have left pine groves in many places, and there are some that are in minor gullies. In the big ravine, the big barranca, there's no pines down there at all. That's too shady for them. And so I have, actually, there's another one over there, but this is the big one. This is the big wet. Let's see. I got to start naming shit. I mean, it's a dumb name. Wet pine grove. Wet pine grove. Now I am altering water flow up slope, and that's going to do two things. It's going to both use more water in terms of the plants, but it's also going to cause more water soak into the soil. And I'm far up enough. I'm about the right amount. I'm like I don't know, about 200 yards, I'd say, a little more actually. And all that water that I keep from flowing downhill is going to seep deep into the soil, and it's not going to disappear. Okay, and there's rocks down there, and so it's going to be in the subsoil. Is that a name for something? I don't know these things. Anyway, the point is it goes into the dirt, and downslope from that, whether it's an orchard on the other property, there isn't one, but I'd be tempted to put one below that just because I've got that little pocket there. If I had a choice, if I could do it. But that's going to remain a pine grove. And I do have to make some decisions about how to maintain a pine grove because a bunch of trees in it will die. On the other hand, if I do nothing, they'll die on their own. And when they die, I could cut them out and use them for something. Although there's no trails through there right now. I used to have trails through there. So we'll work on it. Well, that's the most rambling thing you can imagine. But if you are a person designing land, I think you should design rules for how you do that. And if you can derive any rules for how you do that, design rules, you can certainly steal them from me as well. And I will try and write them up. I'm trying to express them in the easiest way I can because my computer, I just don't feel like typing on right now. And I also feel like the written word, as much as I love it, I have a journalism degree. I've written more than 10 of the average people listen to this. Not you, maybe. If you wrote more, don't get pissed off. It just means you're an asshole. I don't know who wrote more words, and I don't care. The point is, I've tried to make my attempt to communicate ideas about how we can use land better. And I know only some of it applies to here, but that means I want you to adjust it to where you are because I see a lot of pictures of people's places. And the most shocking thing for me always is lack of trees. There's plenty of places with trees. In fact, there's places I'm a little not jealous in a bad way, but a good way. Like, they're in Costa Rica or Panama or somewhere and they've got all this shit growing. It's all fruits and stuff. And here, I'm working on that. The fruits are tougher. They're just tougher. I'm at a very high altitude. I actually looked at my altimeter the other day and I thought I was at 2,200 meters. I was actually closer to 3,000. Jeez, I'm high, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. I'm so high. And, but that doesn't matter. You know, grow what you want. No, sorry. Do you want me to say? If you don't know what I'm about to say, you're not following the Brian religion well enough. Well, also, you forgot to tithe. Um, grow what wants to grow for you. In other words, look for the most valuable plants that you can grow in your climate that require no irrigation, no fertilizer, and they're edible in any way, preferably by humans. But if they're pretty and animals like them, who cares? In fact, that will protect your own plants. You'll get to have more wildlife around you simply by making sure your forests are filled with food for the native animals. And those plants usually should be native, but not necessarily. That's actually not a requirement. Non invasive, obviously, whole nother conversation. I'm very aware, probably more than you. So if you want to make a dumbass comment, go spend at least a few hours reading about how plants move around the world and how evolution occurs and the strange nature of the potential futures we live in. Or be a dumbass. It just makes me hate people more and not be interested in even saving your fucking ass and civilization at all. But, it's a little grumpy, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Sorry. I apologize. What does they say? You catch more flies with, I don't know. But it's wrong. I thought about it. It was a while back. And I think I deleted it from my mind. I actually have a mind that can do that. I can delete shit if I have to, which might mean that uh, that's actually a little fucked up. But uh, you gather more flies with sugar than shit? No, you gather flies with both those things. I'm uncertain. God damn, what a pleasure to live here. Butterfly goes by. It was not a monarch, it was like a tiny one with similar colorings. So this video is about the Barranca, but not the Barranca. Something way softer and more friendly. This is Alicante, which is called, it's a type of snake. It's a stupid name. It's also a name of a place in Spain. I named it because it sounded cool, and I want to rename it now. I think I could do it still. I'm not famous. This place is not famous. Nobody gives a shit about me or anything. A few people do, and I thank you for it. But it's not enough to keep me alive, you know. Damn, this is going to be so amazing. I only have I only have a few bulldozer decisions to make, and that is to lower the road to the dimple slightly, switch or make another road along Rocky Ridge, uh, improve the road at the end of this Bronca. That should be filled. That's a certainty. So at the end of this valley here, it goes on to another property. Usually, my philosophy is ignore the property line because we're trying to do what's good for the land, not for the property as an individual part. And you don't want to fuck your neighbor over anyway. You're looking for maximum fertility for all. Yeah, baby, maximum fertility for all. Oh, yeah, that's hot. Of course, I want to own that land down there someday, but I'll still do the same thing. There's a road there now, and I can deal with it now, and I want it now. And down below that, at exactly about the right level, there's already a dirt road that goes down there. Uh, and if I did own that property, which wouldn't cost a ton, it's used for not profitable purposes right now. So as far as in the big scale, I mean, it would cost infinite amounts for me, but it would cost very little for someone else. And I would actually like to buy it, run a road from that road to that road, and that would increase the number of people who want to increase the road access to Yotatiro from there. It would increase the value of that land, and I'd like to buy that land too. And I'd like to make a good road. It seems weird to talk about road development. You know, I'm a big plant guy. I'm an ecologist. I care about the earth and stuff like that. But the way to have roads be good is to build them in the right places. And so there's a little civil engineering there, but there's also a whole heck ton of social engineering. Social engineering of, you know, how do we deal with land? And I've already got points between here and there figured out. The truth is that one of the first things I would do with that piece of land is included in my bulldozer projects and dig a really big, wide, like 3-lane road, okay, all the way through it. 2 lanes with turnouts minimum, on contour, all collecting water and soaking in the land. I've already walked around with a GPS. I had a chick who visited me walk around with a GPS, but she was not trained well. That's my fault. I I've often undertrained people, and I expect them to rise to the occasion. And some of them do, and some of them don't. Some of them know more than I do, which is always an immense pleasure. God damn. I want to know people who know more than I do. Nobody knows more than I do here, although there are people who know more about parts of what goes on here than I do. And I'm very willing to listen to them, but if they want to tell me what to do, they got to be respectful too. I'm a respectful person, and I only deal with respectful people. And, um, you know, if I could snap my fingers, well, it'd be a dangerous world. Not for long. So you hear that machine over there? That's a weed whacker. Not sure which one he picked to use, but there's two kinds, and the one you would choose depends on what you were working with. He's working with some hard shit, so he probably has the heavier one with the circular saw. that can cut right through small trees and just shit that has disappeared the trail. I walked on a trail today that I haven't been on in, I don't know, probably 10 years. It's been grown over for a while. And so the stuff that was growing on it, I mean, I walked up there with my friend the day before Christmas. We were looking for that trail. We couldn't even find the trail. We didn't try very hard, but we're like walking where it should be, and we're like, well, exactly where is this shit? Because it's just all plants. And the reason it's all plants is exactly because we've changed the landscape of the land. We've increased the amount of moisture that's being collected in an area, and we've also produced a lot of soft dirt. And so, one thing I would recommend is not being confused by soft dirt. Soft dirt is great, but you need to make your whole road be on solid dirt. It's quite important because the soft dirt will fall away, and then your vehicle will fall off the road, or your person will fall off the edge, or it wasn't wide enough for people to pass each other, or something. It's just you. If you're gonna dig in hardcore. And actually, I think I just made public a video called "Dig In Hardcore," but I think I was talking about architecture. In this case, it's roads. I'm on slope, and I was very gentle when I made roads. And I think now I know it will. I have a whole bunch of more challenges that I have to address. And in fact, I'll bring up one of them so I don't forget it. Although I don't watch these videos, so hopefully somebody else will remind me. But anytime I have a couple years at least. I have no money, so I have at least a couple years to plan for what I would do if I did have a bulldozer here. But one of the things I want to make sure I do is that I don't cut off parts of the land. Because if you do scrape into slope a road, on the uphill side, there's no way to get down it, up it, sorry. And you have to plan for that. You have to pick your nature of how your topography is. And let's say it's a sunken in gully, then you can go uphill from there at far less than a 15% slope, and you can get up to a place that otherwise you couldn't get to. I've got one of those right up there right now. Uh, I always ignored it, but now it's a really amazing space. It's not big, it's small. It's the kind of place I could actually sell. And I have lots of thoughts on dividing up the Bosque, whether that's a good idea or not. But I tell you this, if I don't divide it up, no one's going to invest in it unless I figure out a way they can invest and feel very secure. Because I wouldn't probably. I mean, I'm very wary of community ideas, and I don't like homeowner associations, and many times I've posted something about owning land and potentially sharing it in Mexico, and I've got these big long diatribes from people saying I'm a fucking cult leader or I'm trying to rip people off and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, idiot, and so far it's all been dudes. No offense to dudes, but fuck you. And chicks too, who didn't write. You're wusses. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so uh, it's either kind of do it or don't. And even somebody yesterday, I was talking to them, and they're a really nice person. And they were like, you don't want to divide the land up. It's your whole everything, and it's your dream, and all these things. And it's like, yeah, but communities are really hard to have work. And unless someone's going to tell me how it can work well, the conversation I want to have is how we can split it up into a variety of community and privately owned spaces, both. And I don't know if I have a lot of respect for people whose opinions are just so easily given without any information about what I might want or where this land is or Mexican law. I mean, I actually need to talk to a Mexican tax lawyer, although my plan is to die. So after I die, I won't give a shit about taxes. Maybe I can take on the debt and everybody can get some nice, cheap land. That'd be fun. But only people I think are awesome and not cheap people either. I'm done with that shit. People who have the resources to invest into developing it into an interesting way in a fairly quick way. And so, no, I'll talk to anybody, but I'm interested in talking to the people who have the resources to start building. And I'm only willing to sell if I like their plans. Some of their plans might even be in the deed of the property, not, specifics. I don't give a fuck what color your house is. What I care about is, if you can make a building that sustains without outside water, outside electric, um, if you agree to a few social rules like don't play amplified music except for the exceptions. And we could agree on some exceptions, no problem. I mean, I don't give a shit. I mean, if town is playing music, right? In fact, this is a great way to play loud music in the Bosque. Music is played in town loud enough that it's annoying for me. And I'm not criticizing anybody for what they do. I just don't enjoy it. Hmm. So some kind of social agreements, obviously protecting the forest, which has a whole bunch of subsections under that. But I think I'm sculpting the forest in a way that plans can be made so that there's always great ways to harvest and that we're always producing more than we need. Um, because my current plan is to maintain pine forests, but to largely build with concrete. Uh, that is different than what many people might assume. Essentially, if I can build cave cities, and you should look up cave cities. If I can build underground half while sucking in the power of the sun and protecting the interior half from whatever the fuck is going to happen, and have airflow that really works well and all energy systems correct, input of out and output of water and black water and gray water and pee, and input of all resources from farther away or from the gardens. If the forests themselves can be fountains of food for everything that serves us, whether it's directly to us or not. I hate seeing these permaculture plans where everything is just fucking orchards to feed people. Did you fucking forget somebody? You did. You forgot everybody else. Everybody except the fucking humans. Unbelievable. The only people I have certified for permaculture, which is fairly few, we had a lot of conversations about the ethics of how we deal with the earth and how the standard issue narrative is bullshit largely. No, 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 no. Permaculture is largely bullshit in implementation if it's implemented by dumbass fuckwads. Not that all of them are. But I got my criticisms of things that people associate with it. And I'm not even going to call those criticisms of permaculture. I'm going to just say that the normal fucked up way that people deal with each other in reality and all the things that are kind of anti permaculture tend to also be the things that they bring into permaculture, which would destroy it if they accepted that kind of thing. I almost believe in kind of a fundamentalist permaculture that is less fundamentalist. That's confusing. God damn, that's beautiful. I tell you, it's hard to look at a huge bird flying in the sky and not think, damn, it's nice to be a bird. They got a real nice commute. Not a lot of traffic up there. Well, I know where the raven's nest is now. Uh, it's in a different tree than it was before. or maybe it's their kids. I don't know what happens. I have found dead ravens twice in the forest. They've never been intact. Intact. Something did attack them, and it wasn't probably pleasant for the raven. I don't think a lot of animals here die of old age sitting in a tree with tubes in them to make them breathe and stuff. I think it just gets like something else is stronger at that time and it kills the shit out of you. I don't know what kills a raven. It wasn't me. It was not a human, I bet. Could have been some kind of hawk or falcon. Or who knows? Maybe I don't know anything. Maybe ravens have cardiac arrest. Maybe they get a heart attack or a stroke. Could be. I think I might have had a stroke a few years ago. And I don't know if it changed me or not. I really don't know that. I had a friend here from, I've known a long time. He's a friend from long ago. And I first met him because I went to a party at his house. And my girlfriend was with a scary face mask of a witch, which, to be honest, she's kind of a pretty girl. So it was a good costume, but I kind of like seeing her pretty face. So I never told her this ever, but I would have preferred to be a pretty girl that night, but that's okay. She was a pretty girl all the rest of the time. And we jumped on a trampoline in this guy's house. He's a rich geek kind of guy. Uh, and we went to another party after that. And some interesting stuff occurred. And later I got pulled over by the cops. And I was on a drug called ecstasy. Uh, and I really did like that cop. He was a great guy. He was treating me very politely. He investigated me heavily whether I was drunk, and I assured him I was not drunk. Nope, nope, not drunk. My girlfriend was perfectly polite, and just her ugly witch face. Uh, not the rest of the time, just that time. Anyway, but I was dressed as Zorro, and I had a sword. But I think I was in the back seat, so I don't think there was any uh, issues with physical altercation. He was just looking for a drunk dude. And I was definitely not drunk. I was just in a real happy mood, loving the world, baby. Everything is awesome. So why I bring that up? Sometimes I say it's the best day ever, and when I say it, I don't mean that it's the best day there's ever been in the history of all humanity for all the people there ever were, and I don't know how you would measure that. I guess we could translate it into what a fucking beautiful day. I'm too slow. I have big goals. I need to make rich friends who want to save the world. If there's any of them out there that aren't just looking for tax breaks, although I need to set some stuff up to allow for that as well, of course. Um, I can help out rich people. I know they, for some reason, want to make more money. Not all of them, though. Some of them are awesome. I don't like these politicians, these fucking sycophantic vampires who criticize rich people when everything they do supports rich people. I mean, these fucking government people who whine about subsidies given to rich people when they're the exact ones who should stop it, or that rich people don't pay their fair share of taxes. It's like, go look at the stats, you fucking person who's paid by the public to think about things. I'm not paid by the goddamn public of anywhere. And if you don't fucking understand that people who are doing well off actually pay more. And then the whole position of the United States in the world economy is a really big topic. I'm definitely not going to talk about right now. Although sometimes when I say that, I end up talking for another 6 hours. I think I did a 9 hour like live cast once with just me talking about all the shit I think about. It's ridiculous. No, I think the system that creates massive inequality can be massively adjusted to have both innovation, investment, uh, ecological use of natural resources. Oh my God, that's a frightening thing I just said. Maybe I should write up the most hardcore fucking things I can say about that shit because it's pretty hardcore. I can make a lot of enemies with my opinions. But mostly I just want to look at pretty birds and sculpt a forest. And I want to document how to do it. That's the big key. In fact, if I can start that today, I've already got like infinite projects going on today. But if I can figure out any way to partner with people who have resources, who have land, or want to partner up here, and we can really actually, in a very pragmatic way, without pseudo spirituality or really anything to do with spirits and ghosts and gods. I'm sorry, but uh, people who bring gods to the game suddenly sometimes think that they can tell everyone else what to do because their magic god guide tells everyone what to do. Now, if you have a different way of dealing with God and it works for you, you go for it. I got no problem with it. I grew up with a lot of very intense God shit, but it was all lies. But if you got something to get you through the day and hopefully makes you a good person, I'm all in favor. Here, the people I want to work with gotta stick with, if I point at a rock and say that's a rock, I want them to point at a rock and say, yes, I agree, that's a rock. Long time ago, I think it was in a restaurant just north of Lake Union in Seattle. There was a guy named Klaus. I think this is where I told that to him. It might have been somewhere else, but that's where I remember his face at because we used to go have breakfast with a little group of people, and it was very pleasant. We were all young, either professionals or workers, and trying to help each other out. In fact, one of those chicks was a flower girl, and I helped her become a geek or a geek manager or product manager. I don't know what the fuck she is, but she's doing our trip now. That was a long time ago. Anyway, I remember I told this guy once, like, if you hold a rock in your hand, um, is the rock heavy or light? And you hold it out there in your hand, right? Well, it was just a question I asked at the time, and I don't recall his answer, and it doesn't matter, it wasn't interesting. Later, he kind of ridiculed me for asking such an insanely dumb question. Is the rock heavy or light? And I never understood why a fairly smart person didn't understand that question. If he didn't, uh, maybe he somehow did and was just insulting fuckwad. I'm not sure. But uh, but he seemed to think I was a dumbass because I said that. And I said a lot of dumbass things around that age, you know. I was in my probably 20s, I guess. And I did a lot of crazy shit. I never met a friend who was crazier than me, although there were some that took different risks than me. But overall, and I don't mean crazy like nuts, I mean just culturally very diverse, and visiting different communities, and on whatever amount of money I had to spend, I spent in a used bookstore finding an old book that would enlighten me a little more. I don't believe in enlightenment, but um, is the rock heavy or is it light? Well, it's neither. Yes, it has a mass that you can measure in some way if you're a chemist or physicist or something like that. And then that has a certain amount of gravity based on how near it is to another gravitational body. And so how much weight it has is very relative to its location. I think even on the top of Mount K2, I think that's taller than Everest, isn't it? Uh, it would be less weightful, or would be more weightful, be heavier, is a rock of 1 kilogram here on sea level. Okay, I'm not sea level, but let's pretend. Okay, it's January. I would like to be on sea level sometime in the next 2 months. That would be really cool. Uh, okay, so I don't know. I don't know how this works, but a kilogram. It's a very specific ball of weight metal. It defines what weight is. I don't know what pounds are and stones and all that shit. Um, if you put a kilogram of steel in the middle of the earth, it would not weigh anything, I think. Wouldn't it not weigh anything? I think it would not weigh anything because there's gravity pulling out from it. It would have a slight pull towards the sun, but the amount of pull would be minuscule in comparison to all of the mass it was surrounded by. Is the same ball heavier up here? Probably. It's probably. I bet you a. You can correct me. I'm not a science guy. I'm a pseudoscience guy. No, I'm not a pseudoscience guy. Oh my God, that sounds terrible. I never said that. Take that back. Just I'll cut off my tongue if I have. Where's my fucking knife? I'm not pseudoscientific at all, but I wonder. I'm a home scientist. I try and be scientific. So what if we put the same steel ball of a kilogram of steel on the top of K2, which we've established is likely higher than Everest, although you can go look it up. It would likely weigh more because there was a lot more mass very near it. Or would it weigh less because it was further away from a lot of the mass? But the only way for it to weigh less is for it to be attracted to something else, which would only be the sun. And the sun is a massive attractor. Also, does a steel ball of steel on top of K2, is that more affected by the gravitational pull of the moon than one at sea level? What about one at the bottom of the ocean? Because certainly it's interesting to learn about the bottom of the ocean. There's all these organisms we keep finding. We just found some new organisms underneath the polar ice cap, I believe. It was the north one. And there was this really weird space where they just found 100 species of different animals that are called extremophiles. This is forms of life that live on the edges of what is possible. We don't, by the way. We live on the edge of what's easy. Really got fucking easy, historically speaking, geologically speaking, climatologically speaking. Uh, we live in the sweet spot, baby. We are lucky. And if you want any humanity to survive, you got to dig in. That's it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I still don't know that. Has anyone answered that for me yet? I've asked that question like in multiple videos. Does it matter if humanity survives? Does it really matter? I mean, I know you care about your kids. I know you care about you. You definitely care about you. You care about you so much you're willing to kill everybody else. That's my general impression. I don't have a high opinion of humanity. People tend to care about their kids. In fact, so much that even if their kid's an evil motherfucker, they'll still support their kid, which is just like, what is that? Some kind of genetic twisted shit? That's just, there's got to be good words for that. I could make a comedy show if I had good words for things. Think it up. Think it up. What is it? It's a genetic threat? Nah, it's not funny. The fact that you support the ongoing eugenics that exists in the nature of oppression, it's an interesting thing to bring up is the eugenics of oppression, the oppression of eugenics, and how it ends up working out on a worldwide scale. Like, who dies when there's genocides? Who dies when laws are made that decide who and who can't reproduce? Uh, how does the DNA change with dating apps? I suspect that in some years, some babies got to get born, you know. And then we're getting really fancy with the genetic tools. So I think we're going to find out that, like, people who matched up in different ways will create different kinds of offspring. And that's, I mean, Darwin's right here next to me as a ghost. He's saying, yeah, exactly. Survival of the fittest is not who's strongest, it's who reproduced more. That's it. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's whatever. I personally believe that all of the planet, humans should reduce less. And you know what? They're actually doing that in almost everywhere, not everywhere. Uh, and I would love to see a world of 2 billion people. It'd be great. I think we could have all the science. I think we could have all the great architecture where your city doesn't burn down, where it doesn't get flooded, it doesn't get typhooned or tsunamied or earthquaked. It's going to get earthquaked, but you could be prepared for it and live in a place that doesn't take a lot of energy for heating or cooling, so that you're not having to invade other countries and steal resources or truck over resources, because there might not be trucks, by the way, from far away. And if you built your buildings right, you could be comfortable all the time without having to steal. And if you don't have to steal from your neighbors to survive, you're in a really good position. The Vikings are a good example. Uh, in theory, the Vikings, although actually I don't know a lot about the Vikings, I take what I'm about to say back before I even say it, because I read some other shit about the Vikings. It was really cool, actually. Those fuckers were crazy fucks. And they had good boats, and they actually, you know, they were in the Americas, other than the people already here. They were the first Europeans from the Americas, but it was probably really cold where they landed. If they would have landed further, they might have said, hey, let's fucking move here. I mean, it could be that, you know, they found like, I don't know the East Coast that well. Like Florida, I wouldn't want to live in. I would want to live in Maine culturally, but not for the climate. Somewhere between the two is the ideal climate. I don't think there is. I think it gets too hot and too cold. I think the whole East Coast is fucked. But they could have found a place better than Norway. It was easier to go to Ireland and inject their DNA. Everybody injected their DNA in Ireland, and that's where I come from. I'm the result of many DNA injections. Which I'm happy about, actually. I think that's great. I'm super multicultural. Um, Not with here. And then there's cultural and genetics, which is different, totally different, completely different. I did think it was funny that somebody called Elon Musk the richest African American in the world, and I thought that was great because there's all these fucked up names everybody has for everybody, and it's just I want to cut all those fuckers out. The sun has come up. The sun has come out. Holy motherfuck! I'm being baked out here. It's great. It's fucking awesome. Right now, I got good friends. They're in Seattle, and everything's covered in snow. Right now, I got good friends in Oregon, and everything is covered in snow. I don't know what's going on in other places. California, they're probably surprised in north by some snow. I don't know. This whole last year, this was 2021. I'm finishing up 2021, hiding out in the forest, not getting COVID, not getting vaccinated, just, biding my time, trying to be a smart person. And anybody that gets too pissed off about it, I kind of just push them away because I'm not pissed off at anyone else for what they do. Do what you want, you know. I know it's not that easy. It's really tough right now for people, and there's strong government forces that are causing people to, for example, have to have mandatory vaccinations to make a living, or their family fucking dies. This is not a good situation. I understand that COVID is bad, and I'm avoiding it. Totally on board. I'm anti-COVID all the way. I'm anti-COVID this variant. I'm anti-COVID that variant. I am anti-COVID. The current one at the moment as a record is Omni. Omni bad. No, it's Omni. I don't give a shit. I'll probably get it. It's spreading fast. And so if I get it, I'm going to die in place. I'll die right here in my bed. I'm not going to the hospital because there's no hospital beds and I'll just get sicker there and I don't got any money anyway. So I'm very happy to die. I do need suicide equipment. I really do. I believe it is a human rights violation to make it illegal for me to either own a suicide kit or for me to pay any reasonable amount of whatever I've got to have someone help kill me. We can do it however you want. I know people are fucked up ethically about it. I know they're so scared of death that they can't think straight. Not, I don't mean that kind of straight. Don't ruin all the fucking words. Jesus, fuck, motherfucking assholes. But I have the right to die, don't I? Don't I? And not just, I mean, I would prefer not just have the right to, smash my head in with a rock as hard as I can until I pass out and hope I bleed to death and someone finds me later. That's not convenient for me. That's really rude of the society to legally say that I can't have the right to have someone check me out in a nice way. If I'm rational, if I record it, I mean, somebody could murder me, it's true. And that could be a tragedy. I don't know. I don't want to die. If someone came up with me a gun, I would probably try and survive. I don't like being forced to do shit by people with a gun or a bunch of people with a gun. And I object to being forced to take a vaccination. If anyone's going to force me to take a vaccination, guess who it's going to be? Me. Because given how I evaluate reality and the situation at hand, which I'm fairly aware of, I have a computer connection. So I should be uploading things right now. I'm not. I mean, I have pragmatic things to figure out about how to run things here and how to have people here and what I want to do, right? Um, so that's a whole other issue than forcing people to get vaccinated or lose their job. On the other hand, a job is not guaranteed, is it? The government's not going to guarantee you a job because you're just a fucking tool to them. And if you were a government employee and they required you to get a vaccination, you understand, you live in a slave state and you didn't not live in a slave state before this. you've been living in a slave state for a long time, and you probably have been part of that government that has killed lots of innocent people, that continues to incarcerate many people. And you might want to read the Constitution. You might want to read the Federalist Papers. You might want to read about anything to do with freedom and stuff. And I know that's a fucked up word I shouldn't even use. But if you got fired because you wouldn't take a vaccination, guess whose team you're on now? You're on Team Freedom, baby. And I'm not saying it wouldn't be smart if everybody got a vaccination. It could be. And I probably will get one. I'm not an anti vaxxer. I got to get one because I want to have people here and I have to protect me and I don't want to die. And, I believe some stuff and I don't believe other stuff. And you could call me a moderate, but I would rather call me an extremist moderate. I take the extremes of all sides and I bring him into a position that I think is the obviously excellent, most correct position that everyone should have, and that's, of course, my fucking opinion. But I will not put a gun up to you and tell you what you got to do. I make my choices, you make yours. In my case, I've done a good job at making sure I don't affect you. Nobody gives a shit if I live or die. It does not matter. I'm not worth anything. The only thing I have to do is make a will and figure out who to give this land to. That's it. And then I would, if I have another 20 years or something left to live, I got at least a day maybe. Um, but that is not enough to give me hope for the world. I feel like I'm a failure if I just will this land to somebody. I want to make a template so that people can create different ways that humans can live with land, to design towns that are completely designed differently. And I think I can do that. I need help. There's a bunch of questions I got. A lot of them, the big systems I've already solved. I've already gotten rid of so many problems. But I still need help from civil engineers, architects, engineers, um, and city planners, really. City people who know how to start a town. I mean, how do you start a town? How do you have everybody be legally protected? And that is one of the reasons that I would actually want to divide this place up and have it be so that, because if people don't have legal ownership over their land, there's going to be conflict, isn't there? And you tell me why I'm wrong. Idealistic person, people, millions of them, billions of them who think shit should be free. We have a system of property ownership in the world today. And how can we encourage that property ownership to result in better use of land for various purposes? One of them is housing, right? I do love the idea of personal property ownership. And so uh, it does make it turned over to the state. I understand that. But if you create property ownership within something that actually owns all the land, then that becomes the state. And that isn't a lot less dangerous. It's better if people come together and they have their agreements and they want to make what they want to make. It's not a perfect solution. It's still great. And maybe I should try it. You look at something like Georgism, for example. Georgism is a different way of doing taxation. It's really cool, actually. Oh my God, this sun feels so good. I'm on a black stone terraza right here. It's surrounded by really cool plants that we have in terrariums to grow seeds, and that we have special ones or pretty ones, or there's pitaya grown over there. That's called dragon fruit. That's pretty cool. So I don't know how I could get much more comfortable than this. But the world's not comfortable. So Sure as fuck isn't. And I'll try and write up what I can as best as possible or video it. And the problem is that I'll lose most of you. I will lose your support if I tell you everything I think. Because most people got their issues, you know, they got their special issues, and if somebody disagrees with them, well, that person is fucking Satan, and they need to be destroyed. And so what happens is that you never actually end up destroying the oppressive system, do you? And that means your grandchildren are going to be enslaved or dead. Strange I say stuff like that. I suspect that people probably don't like it. They didn't like it when I was in high school. When I was in high school, I was a little freak, and I did do something I would regret, but I'm not gonna say what it is. And I published something that I don't disagree with it, but it was over the top. It was ridiculous, and I wouldn't have done it again that way. Um, but uh, all right, so I already walked around GPS today. That's good, but I walked around more 2 days ago. I was surprised how much I walked around yesterday. It was actually quite a bit, considering I was just trying to survive. And uh, it's amazing, and that's one motivation to make the trails here better and have more destinations and places people can sit down and places that they can have Wi-Fi if they want that, or services, or just a beautiful place to be separate from everything, or a place that's shady, or a place that's sunny, you know, or a place with a view. And I think that sculpting a forest around human perception after water flow, you know, after figuring out where water flows and how we can do agriculture actually in a better way. I think that that's my next step, and that's actually probably the next step in having it be financially profitable. Is if people aren't happy here, and if I'm not producing tons of easy, you know, fertilized, irrigated products, then I can't compete financially. What I can do is gather really amazing people here, and I have done that at times. And it's been, unfortunately, without a core team. I did have a girlfriend for a while who was extremely supportive, and she did a great job. She worked her ass off. And that happened up in Seattle, too, where I was with a woman and she worked her ass off. And truth is, it was a strain on the relationship, you know, because neither one of them was really signed on for that. They just thought I was cool. So, oh my God, that's pretty. Fuck. We're having great success with seeds of succulents in these terrariums right over there. Right over there. I'm actually happy that hasn't been translated or transplanted out of there yet because it's so happy. I don't not even know what that is. Sometimes if I travel, you know, if I don't travel very much, but if I'm in a car and I go somewhere and I see anyone selling plants anywhere, then if it's convenient, I would like to stop and I would like to see all the plants they have and then see what I don't got because I'm not looking to put plants in my front yard. I'm looking for plants I can reproduce heavily and spread them all around. And I mean, I'm looking at two of them. They're just weird looking. And they're not going anywhere. They're not invasive or anything. And Later on, if I reproduce a bunch, I could sell them. I could be a vivero. And I got a friend who would actually love to run that aspect of the business or his own business. That's what he's good at. He's done it all his life. And I have not finished my crowdfunding campaign for him. Uh, I got to do that. You know, I'm just doing so many things right now, and the light is very short in the daytime. And I spend a lot of time talking to you. It's your fault, really, that I have not succeeded. Um, but if this place is going to continue, I definitely have to seek real supporters. A lot of people say this thing like and subscribe. Well, none of my fucking videos are monetized. And maybe that's why I have less viewership. Maybe if you're monetized, then you get seen more, right? Because they can make money off you. They will promote you. In my case, they can't make any money off me, and I don't sell anything, so they don't win. Who owns YouTube at this point? I don't know, but it's an amazing vision, really. Am I still talking about Alicante? I hope so, because I'm looking at the lower Alicante now. And that's the densest pine forest in all of Alicante. Now, there's dense pine forests over there, there's dense pine forests over there. It's all surrounded by pine forests, so it's not a problem or anything. But I just like that one because it's just more moist. I'm not sure what's going to happen in there, and that's another area where I'm just going to let the trees grow and figure it out. Maybe in 50 years it'll be oaks. I don't know. Maybe 100 years. For now, it's awesome. Uh, I can't tell if I'm lonely or not at this point. I do have somebody who's going to come here sometime soon, and I thought about contacting some other people and figuring out how they could come here at the same time and things would be funner. And this chick's already been here before, so she was fine. No, we're not a couple. I have to say that because, there might be some cute chick that wants to flirt with me and might think I'm taken. No, I'm not taken. But I'm also a total freakazoid, so watch out. Anyway, so she's going to come here, and I think it'll be very much like last time it was when she was here. Hopefully, a little bit funner, although that's hard to predict. We were in pandemic kind of state. We were just pretty much here, and then we had some fun trips outside, and we had a great time. It was fine. But and this time, I don't know if we're going to be able to do more trips outside. We could bring my cute little puppy Frida. It'd be so fun. And I'm training her with the leash. I'm training her that it's fun to be in the car. Mm, more training has to occur on that. Even the leash is about, I would say, 70% optimistically. Like, she's getting okay. I should have her on a leash right by me right now, just sitting here and feeling comfortable in the shade. And she would be like, oh, okay, I'm just on leash. Yeah. So basically, I'm learning how to be a slave owner of dogs. It's pretty terrible. Um, But anyway, so I want 2022 to be a place that benefits Michoacan, that there's more travelers, that COVID gets diluted enough to, the people that are going to die, die. The people that got no problems continue reproducing. Uh, I guess people are going to just do constant vaccine shots for a while. And I don't know if that breeds a better version of it. I don't know that it does. I mean, if it kills it in a person, that's good, right? I mean, if the whole world was vaccinated against COVID and then everybody spent a month away from each other, would that kill COVID? And if it doesn't, then what it means is it lives in people like herpes or something, and it just can continue to continue. In that case, my original predictions from the very beginning of the pandemic is that this could actually reduce total lifespan just by removing part of the population. And it could be that it becomes a pandemic that some people are. If I was transported to the 14th century, I would be an astounding scientist. Oh my goodness, I would be so cool. Frida, what are you doing? Frida's probably sleeping. That's not good. I wanted to sleep at night. Maybe she's playing with Coco. I don't want to get up. Fuck. My butt hurts on this fucking metal chair. Oh, hi, Frida. You're right there. Hi, Frida. You're such a good ums. You go traveling? Are we going to be go traveling this year? I don't think so, but I don't know. If I did go traveling this year, I would go traveling with my puppy and a friend of mine who has a car that is a pretty good car for traveling. We would do day trips. Day trips is the goal. We might do some overnights, you know. Like I said, we don't sleep together, so I'd probably sleep in a tent or something. And she could sleep in her vehicle. Or maybe if, does that hurt? I don't want to hurt her. Um, or maybe there's some hotels that spray things down or something. I don't know what's going on. But the point is that this place is just, they're just everywhere around here. They're just a billion cool places to go. And I've never even been to most of them. I've been busy for the last almost 2 decades, since 2004. And there's lakes and there's volcano cones with lakes in them. There's cool crafts. There's a cheese town. There's one that does glass. There's just all these beautiful places. And it would be so cool to keep her alive, too. I can leave her for a day. Wouldn't matter. But I don't know. Also, I think people are friendlier to people with dogs. And she is a friendly girl, isn't she? Look at her. Look at her. Look at her friendly face. Doobie 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 doop. She looks like a baby deer. Somebody said I should rename her to be Bambi, which is funny. She's definitely a dog. I can guarantee you. I checked. She's very dog-like. Um, but oh my God, how cute would that be if she played with a little deer? Yeah, we are. It's the hot time of the day out almost. So, uh, oh, well, I guess I should walk out there and check on shit again. Why don't you go play with Coco? Go play with Coco. Get off my lap. Go, 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 go. Good girl. Oh, where's Coco? Coco does go places, but that's definitely uh, the favorite dog of Mayhem, and Coco is liking Free a lot, so that's cool. Now it's quiet again. Definitely need to have days where there's noisy machines and when there aren't. and even months where there's a different number of noisy machines per week than other months. Um, right now, there wouldn't be, because my goal is to, in the winter, have guests, right? Um, and to have until about January 9th or so, from about December 20th to January 9th. How many days is that? 19 days? That's quite a while. And have really good accommodations and people sleeping in spaces nearby and all that. It'd be fun. Have bonfires that don't create forest fires. I have some people I want to invite. I do have to be careful about that. I don't want to invite anyone that attracts press. Uh, I have had people here who would attract press, but they came and went, and we chatted. It was quite nice actually, and they were very happy, and they thanked me. They had campfires, and well, they were pretty big fires actually, because and they paid well to be here. That's what kept me alive for a couple years. It was a while back. Um, I do want to work on having secure ways to get people here. Like I need to know about charter airlines and how those work, and how like how to move people from private transport in the airport directly to here all the way. And I need to make relationships with those companies, so that some people who have different concerns than I have can just get here safely and quickly, and they just end up right here. Be awesome. And I want to have them on my invite list for the future. I mean, the past people have been great, and I'll invite them back. They're fucking great. You know who you are. Thank you. Uh, but yeah, I'd like to do a little bit more, because I actually see people online, like comedians, and there's a few politicians in the world. I would say in the whole world, there's probably less than 10 politicians I would want here, and I would actually require them to sign a form of non-disclosure that they cannot admit they were ever here. Or we use it for publicity. I don't know. I'm so confused. I want to fly under the radar. I'm just done. I'm just tired of like 95% of people who contact me want to take advantage of me. And why do I do this? I have no point. You know, it's gonna all become avocado fields. That's what it's gonna do if I don't succeed in even the slightest way. And I have goals to succeed in big ways. So I don't know, but everything is really looking beautiful. I tell you, it's just going along according to plan, and that's not true. It's going along very well, and I haven't fucked up. I think that's more accurate. The trees got the plan. The trees are just going to grow, and they're growing so much, and the undergrowth and everything is just so much that all I have to do is sculpt into it. All I have to do is figure out how we can dig into a landscape and enhance it. It's just not the human way in most cases. In some it was, in some it was. But I would say, if you were to look at a percentage of 0 to 100% of what indigenous cultures survive for any length of time, it's nearly zero. And I don't know who first inhabited the Sentinelese Island or whatever it is. It doesn't matter who's there first. Everybody killed each other all the time, and many places have been destroyed. Of course, industrial humans are the biggest culprit. And guess what? They come in all cultures from all places. If you're real proud to be indigenous, So indigenous. I'm better than you. You're probably not. You come from fucked up, evil people just like everyone else. And we got to go forward from here. That's just how things work. But if you want to be a bigot, go right ahead. You know, you can be like the Ku Klux Klan or something. You know, you can be like every other organization all over the world over all of time that has decided our people will kill your people. And that's just over and over. I mean, even you look at the Pentateuch, right? The Old Testament. It's like, hey, God says, go kill those people and you can have their land. And they say, okay, God, interpreted by somebody who is telling them what God said because God doesn't exist. Are you an idiot? And so they go there and they kill all these people. They kill all the women, babies, everything. You have murder the fuck out of everyone, and then other places murder everyone. They're just murdering fuckwads in the desert. Well, it might not have been desert though, and that's the point. Actually, that's the more important point. Who cares about the people? You know, although they're still fighting, and whose land is very questionable. But the Tigris Euphrates area was called the Fertile Crescent. It was beautiful. What the fuck exactly happened? And isn't that what's going on, like in a state north of me? All the trees that used to be there are dead now. Are all the trees here going to be dead now? I don't care. I'll be dead. I do care. I do care a lot. I can't say I don't care, even though I'll never see it. I hope I don't. Uh, but what I predict here is desert unless people make some major actions to change it. And there's all kinds of changes I have as suggestions for other places in the world. I'm not an expert on all the places in the world, but I can tell you real well that it's better to plant than to destroy. It's better to have water soak into land. These things are not complicated. And I'm bummed. I'm really bummed that the things I say, that things that other people say are similar, are zero. They mean zero in comparison to businesses and the government. And you keep voting for them. Yeah. I guess I can't blame my spoiled rich friends. They're just, doing what spoiled rich people do. It's fine. Uh, I guess I can't blame the people who take up arms and kill off whole ethnic groups of people because, they're just making more space for their culture and they're just serving the structures that pay them. We must destroy and kill certain groups of people in the world. That appears to be what everyone thinks. I don't think that's a good idea or strategy. I think if anything, we should save as much culture as we can, save as much language as we can, and um, everything could be a more friendly and wonderful world. But I'm probably an idiot. It's a gorgeous day. There's a few tiny clouds up there. Clouds and nothing. Well, to do what I envision, I definitely need a lot more resources. And I'm not gonna be like Jacques Fresco or the Venus Project and just give some tours and shit. Make a few fancy drawings and a few good buildings. No, I want to actually build it. I don't want to sell it. I want to build it. And so I need to partner up with people who also have a lot of resources. Well, Unfortunately, 83 acres is not a lot of resources. It's just a tiny drop in the bucket. It doesn't matter. Nothing. Everything I look out over the hills, and unless we find another way or civilization collapses, all of this will be monoculture. It's a certainty. Monoculture or dead, which a bunch of it is over there. And nobody even tries and puts avocados over there. It has maybe some to do with some microclimate issues. I don't know though why. Um, it would be great to have a test location over there and take a bulldozer actually and dig a long slope and use them as roads. It's fine, but get that water to soak into the land and then plant it with anything that will grow. Doesn't really matter, right? I got a really boring plant over here. It's called a coralline, and I got tons of seeds. Plant that; it'll live. It's tough. I got a lot of plants that will live over there, and that'll increase insect life, and it will increase tourism potentially because it looks prettier. I should actually find out Hunapongio. It's the last town over there in Aronga before you leave the municipio. You leave the county. I would love to give them any plants I can. In fact, I often think when I think about plant giving away, I think about places more near here, right, that have more easy climates that I think I can succeed in. And Apongio is actually, when you think about it, it's true. It's true. It's the hardest climate there is in all of the municipio. It's way dry, and I can give them baby magueys to increase their genetic diversification, but they've already got baby magueys, so that's the weakest gift I can give them. And then I could give them anything else I think might live, and I'm not sure what that is. But certain things are real cheap for me to produce, and so what if I did uh, put in 10 rosemaries in an ornamental place, and the people know how to reproduce them, and they could just spread them? That'd be fine, no problem. Somebody over there, a capoline, a black cherry, I would give them one that was grafted and was of the highest quality possible so that I could inject the best DNA into that location. And it might die or live. I don't know. But tejocote is obvious. I don't know if they have tejocote. I know it doesn't grow very big. Nothing grows big over there. It's harsh, 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 harsh. I mean, if I had the camera over there right now and I just swung it around, you'd be like, oh, there's no big trees there. No fucking big trees there. And so that does bring us up to the topic of bigger trees. And what happens if we did plant 5 oaks here and 5 pines over there? And I prefer pocket planting as opposed to just broadcast planting. I understand there's benefits to both, but my way requires less work. And what could we grow from seed there with no pots or work here? Because I don't got a lot of shit here. I barely have water. You know, I'm currently in a position where I have an excess of water because I have a lack of people. Once I have people, I'll have no goddamn water. That's a terrible thing. But I want to get plants over there in the Pongio. And, you know, I don't care. I'll talk to them. They're really nice people. I've talked to them before. Every time I go over there. Not every time, but most times I've gone over there. Ah, oh, my God. My butt has no blood in it. Oh, you know, uh, actually, you know, it's just sometimes. But sometimes there's a family there and they give you mezcal, which they make out of the agave maguey. And I'm growing magueys here. And I would actually do a seed swap with them, or if they wanted to. I don't know if they give a shit. But are they reproducing magueys? I hope they're covering the hills of magueys. I mean, that's their bread and butter. That's their, well, mezcal, which is better than bread and butter. I don't know. I'm just desperately trying to think. How can I use what I have to make a better place? Exist in the world. It's not the easiest thing. I'm still pissed off that all the computer cables are black, almost all of them. It would really help me out if they were lighter colors, so I could find them in the fucking near darkness I live in. I realize that's a personal problem, and but also so you could just distinguish one from another. I'm sure there's a cost, and I guess I could just take some nail polish and paint the top of every um, uh, cable that needs to go up or down, and then it would be easier to not fuck it up. You know, something close to 50% of the time the first time, and then try it the other way, but then realize, oh, maybe it was better the other way. It's just a total waste of time. So, whatever. I'm not an engineer. I just, care whether people do stupid things or not. And that's stupid. It's totally stupid. Just charge more for a colored cable. People will pay it. And you don't have to make a million of them. Just make the primaries if you want. And it would make some people's lives a little more easy. But that's actually deep testing, baby. Like, the infrastructure is wrong. I mean, how can there not be a bug that's posted somewhere that says this should be available in at least one other color, preferably four, whatever is easiest and cheapest for manufacturing? And you would actually sell more, pretty sure. That's all right. I need to get out the nail polish. Also, I do live in far worse conditions than most people as far as darkness goes. So my opinions may not be relevant. Oh. So I do need to partner with somebody who can help me draw this stuff up better. The problem is it's difficult and there's no money to finance it. And I think most of the money I get right now is just pity money to get me alive, which I could do better in the street in Seattle in a few days. I mean, I don't have enough supporters, and that's okay. I don't. Maybe what I'm doing has no value. Maybe I'm delusional or stupid. It's totally possible, but I don't think so. I think that what I'm doing is um, doesn't fit in with any corporate agenda. Although I'm willing to make sponsorship contracts and promote things that are good, you know, I would have Starlink here and have many people be pictured with Starlink and say nice things about Starlink, and they could say it in Spanish. That could benefit the attempt to have remote internet, which would be totally cool. The internet I have now is working right now. That's how I'm talking to you, and it's fantastic. I am not a person who really is comfortable in physical reality that much. And I realize that doesn't make sense to people, but I deal with all this shit because I have to, and I have become more in love with the world, and I want to improve it and make it better. Because partly because I'm just annoyed. Like there's so much waste and dumb shit and death and destruction, and it's just like um, doesn't seem real good. And the reactions against it don't seem real good either. So I don't know. I do know, well, there are some people working on it, but we'll just see what happens. You know what would be really fun is to name, because the days between Christmas and New Year's Day are kind of empty days, right? Well, there's New Year's Eve. Okay, that's taken. So what do I got? I got the 26th, 27th, 23rd. Wait, dude, can you count? No. I think I might be kind of drunk. I hope you don't mind. I'm still a nice guy, not annoying, just mathematically impaired, which I started out that way actually. So 25 was one day. 26, which is today, pretty sure. 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th. I don't know if there's a 31st on December or not, but that's okay. Let's just call it 4 days for fun. We could call it five, but it's going to interfere with shit. So there's 4 days that could have themes to them. I love it. I love it. It's an open space. It's an open cultural space. And I should, I'm sure there's somebody's, many people potentially, cultures which have holidays in that time. But I would like to figure that out and insert my own because I don't have any holidays that conflict with any holidays I know about. So if there's one in Tibet, great, and maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll borrow some things from it if respectfully, and Tibet seems cool. And I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of winter stuff that occurs, and a lot of stuff in Europe, and they wear weird costumes and stuff. That's pretty cool. Like, how can you be against that? But so I got what more or less 4 days. And if I want people to stay here for Bosque, if I want to next year have people come here for the 20th of December to the 9th of January, I could probably set that up pretty well. And people would have an amazing time. And there'd be a lot of field trips, a lot of independent field trips. I'm not picturing anymore the 15 passenger van of people all sharing germs. I want to help people have places to stay, to camp, hotels that are very COVID conscious, and then have them use this as a home base. Some people coming for a month, some people coming for, a week before the Day of the Dead, and they want to experience that. And that's cool. Although I would really like to propagandize on them a bit about the depth and coolness of that. It's I have mixed feelings about it as a tourist destination, but I'm not charging anything, so not a problem. But I can definitely, I have great friends who can help people who are from other places have a really deep Day of the Dead experience. And we won't kill you or anything, don't worry. Probably. It's really up to you. So, but it's really about respecting your ancestors and thinking about, well, I have my own thoughts and I'm not going to say them. And I reinterpret shit because everyone does. But it's currently very famous now in Mexico. Partly made famous by the James Bond movie. The opening scene was with a big parade they made, which is so cool because I love this kind of cultural fusion where that parade did not exist before. James Bond movie made the parade happen for a movie, And then Mexicans were like, or some of them were like, hey, we live in the motherfucking biggest city in the world, or at least one of them. And that was cool looking. We are totally doing that. And that's really neat. And that does not, in my opinion, disrupt what goes on in tiny towns in the middle of nowhere, of which I know of many. Because there's no tourists there. Nothing changes for them. It's the same tradition they had when they grew up and they were a tiny kid. And that's good. You can both celebrate the culture in ridiculous, big, crazy ways. And you can also keep the soul of it, the depth of it, deep inside the family for generations and generations. I mean, I love Day of the Dead. And no, I haven't been to any big Day of the Dead parties. And to be honest, I'm probably not going to go. If I was going to make a big puppet, I would make one of something else here. But I mean, I would go to Mexico City like in some time when it wasn't busy or something, or Guadalajara. I mean, I'm not against these places at all, and I'm not against Day of the Dead spreading in some ways. And as long as those small places are protected in their traditions, which they are really well, because some of them are on dead end roads to nowhere. So no one's gonna fuck with those people, and that's their freedom. I love it. You know. Of course, I'm gonna make a Day of the Dead fusion here. It won't be fusion between Halloween and Day of the Dead. I would prefer to keep those separate. That's just a personal preference for some reasons. Um, if I have better infrastructure, I can't do anything right now. I'm just learning to be able to walk again after 2.5 years, and I can carry some firewood. And uh, most people who contact me seem like idiots. I'm not a real big fan of humanity in general at the moment. And, they got no pictures, they got no videos, they got no ethics posted. This is not a fucking hotel. And I'm not interested. I'm not interested in, I'm too isolated, I'm too weak. And I'm not too weak. If some fucker comes here, I got friends and that problem can get taken care of. But I'm doing it right now, today. I'm fixing trails, and I'm trying to figure out how can I do better than I did before. I did okay before. Lots of people came here and had a great time. I'm totally thrilled for them. It was a pleasure. But I have to figure out a way to do that in a way that is financially sustainable, and I'd like to even have it be prosperous. I would like to actually, right now, you know, I can't host a ton of people at all, and that's just how it is. Um, there's a lot of issues going on. The pandemic is one, but um, I got to update my video that's on the application form because it's wrong. I got to update the entire web page because it's wrong. I got to update me because I got to be better and more private in some ways. I need a place I can sleep. That's nobody's gonna bother me, and that there's other people who can handle shit. I only want to get called if there's an emergency. Otherwise than that, I need a hidden house somewhere. Like I'll dig into the slope just like I will everything else. And I don't need hardly anything. I think I need one room for sleeping, Yeah, sleeping, and it doesn't need much. A little bit of ventilation, and um, doesn't even need to have a lot of light or any. I'm okay with that. I'd like to have a locking door on it so I can feel more secure. And then there was one other room I wanted, which was a tiny fireplace with a porch and a couple places to sit. Where's my office? I could have a full office somewhere else, but a tiny nighttime office, just to stay in communication. Because I think if you're really gonna be hardcore at this point in reality, you need to be online as close to 24/7 as possible. That sounds terrible, I suppose, to some people. But I sort of feel like the movie industry and the software industry are similar. Like there's times where you got to build some shit, and it's not just a regular job, and you don't go 9 to 5, and you don't whine about not getting time off or overtime even. Although I did get some overtime at some point in my life, it was fine. Um, I'm not against labor law and all that, but what if I do want to get together with some people and make some amazing software that we all get really rich from? I have various ideas for how to do that, and um, I guess I haven't presented them to my geek friends very well. And my geek friends are either desperately trying to make money from someone who has it, or they have so much that they don't need to. And somewhere in between, maybe there's somebody who would think, okay, well, I'll try it with this guy to make this particular project. So it's a little tricky. The ideas I have are very different than what currently exists, which is a good thing. And today I've written about two of them, and I can't say what they are because I think they have immense value. I think that they could become massively huge, both of them. And it's mostly people with profiles connecting with other people with specific profiles, which is absolutely important to them, that they connect with people and that they're not lonely and that they're protected and they're good and all that. And the other one has a large GPS like aspect to it. And I'm just playing around with now with AR apps a lot, but I don't have signal. I just have wireless in two places, so my ability to play with it is really limited. But I don't think that the things like Ingress and Pokemon Go, I'm trying the Peaky Man Boop something, I don't know what it is. I'm trying things out. It's fun. I love it. But it is not using the GPS and the ability of the camera to broadcast video and photos into a virtual space that is geotagged to the greatest advantage. Not even close. Like so far from what could happen. And I would love to play with 100 people in the woods, all, for a week or so, broadcasting, playing games, uh, being observed by other people, all interesting people cast for the role. It's totally doable. And I guess I have to describe that in a smarter way for someone to understand what I'm talking about. But tools are there, and invention happens not because someone thought some up at the time. I mean, Leonardo da Vinci thought of a whole bunch of shit that would have been real interesting if he thought it up now. Actually, now he's a little late, but if he would have been taken more seriously, perhaps, or I don't know. If there was labs now that could go back in time and say, hey, this works. What if we change that? Then shit would hit the fan real quick. I'm not saying it's good. It might be bad. All right. Should go check on some shit. I should. Well, goodbye. And thanks for hanging out with me on the day after Christmas. I do have a torta. Fuck. Fuck. I have been exercising more lately, which is good. I have an app now that counts my steps, my distance. And I'll make a video about that later. I think it's called Google Fit, which is nice of Google. I think it's a free app, which is really nice of Google to have a team that gives away a free app. I find that very admirable, if that's the case. I just started using it 3 days ago. So, but oh my God, it's surprising how long or how far I walk. Although that might be in Pittman. I don't know. Goodbye. Oh, fuck. So I could go check on the trails, or I could just go back to bed. But if I'm going to do my job, I got to do it right. And I got to be on top of this shit. So I will be on top of this shit. Goodbye. Didn't I say goodbye? Oh, fuck. How does this shit work? Goodbye. Maybe. Maybe we'll just talk forever. Oh, I love you so much. We'll just talk forever. Fuck you.